Bajaj Auto, India's largest exporter of two-wheelers, has had a strong quarter-one performance. The maker of the iconic Pulsar brand of motorcycles, KTM, Triumph, Husqvarna, and a market leader in the three-wheeler segment with a 78% market share, is ramping up its clean energy portfolio. With the aim to drive growth over the next 10 years and making the company future-ready, the company is preparing a diverse portfolio of electric, CNG, flex fuel and other alternate fuel vehicles. Bajaj Auto is among the top three in the electric two-wheeler market and has a plan to increase production and sale of the Chetak scooter. The company hopes the Freedom 125 CNG bike could help increase market share in the 100 to 125cc segment. Also on the cards is an e-rickshaw, ethanol and hydrogen bikes and a twin-cylinder motorcycle in future as well. Joining us now to talk about the company's growth strategy is the company's Managing Director, Rajiv Bajaj. Mr. Bajaj, thank you very much for joining us. The company has been an outperformer in calendar year 2024, surging 50% compared to the 12% rise in the BSE Sensex. If we speak about the stock, what do you think is working in favor of the company right now? Do you feel, with all the disruptions behind, you've managed to put together a strong clean energy vehicle pipeline for the future, and this is something that you'll focus on for sustained growth?
Well, hi Parikshit, good afternoon. I think it's for all the reasons that I just heard you mention, but in one word, I would like to think it is because of this company's ability to adapt. You know, Charles Darwin said it's not the strongest or the most intelligent of the species that survives, but the ones that are most adaptive to change. And if you look at what's happened to Bajaj Auto in the last 25 years, it has demonstrated an outstanding ability to adapt. First, to adapt from being a domestic player to a global player. As you're aware, we now export about half of what we make to exactly 100 countries. Then came the transition. We adapted from being a scooter-centric company to becoming a motorcycle-centric company. And I would like to believe that it is that strategy which led us last year to become the world's most valuable two- and three-wheeler company in terms of market cap. And that has been only growing, as you just mentioned. And finally, to adapt from being a ICE company to also being a clean energy company. And in that context, I must share with you that we stand on the cusp of a very great milestone for us, which is that as we head into the festive season in the months of September, October, November, we are very likely to cross a monthly sales production and sales rate of over 100,000 clean energy two-wheelers and three-wheelers. So it's a great time for us.
Right. Give us also a sense, how do you expect your clean energy portfolio to contribute to total revenues in FY25 and by FY30?
Okay. So FY30, it's a little too distant in the murky future. But I'll tell you where we stand right now. So in September, for example, we see a sales requirement of a shade under 500,000 vehicles, of which, as I said, almost 100,000, if not a little more, would be clean energy vehicles. So, in volume terms, that's a little more than 20%. And because CNG vehicles and EVs are significantly more expensive than their corresponding ICE vehicles. So I don't know the number, but I would hazard that definitely over 25% of our current revenue is already coming from or about to come from clean energy vehicles, which is quite remarkable. I can put a little more color on that for you. We are looking at, for example, 20,000 of the newly launched Freedom, the world's first CNG motorcycle. We are going to do our best to get closer to 30,000 Chetaks. Easier said than done, because it was only last month that we crossed 20,000 for the first time. We are a very, very strong player in the CNG three-wheeler market with over 80% share of that. So over 40,000 CNG three-wheelers should head out next month. And we are very pleased with our success of the electric three-wheeler, of which we will try to make closer to 6,000 or a little more next month. So if you add that all up, it tells you that the split between two-wheelers and three-wheelers is about 50-50. The split between EV and CNG is also close to 50-50. And altogether, it's a cumulative 100,000 vehicles a month, about 25% of our revenue.
Now, you had over 13,000 bookings for the Freedom 125 CNG motorcycle when we last checked about 2 weeks ago. What is the current production ramp-up plan for the Freedom motorcycle?
Last month we did about 2,000 vehicles. It was the first month of introduction. This month our goal was to do 10,000 vehicles, but due to some part shortages, I think we will be somewhere between 8 and 9,000 vehicles, the last I heard last week, which I still think is very good for what is practically the first full month of production after launch. As I just finished saying, we are going to hope to push that to 20,000 vehicles next month. And Rakesh just gave us clearance to expand to 40,000 vehicles. So I think by January, if not before, we should be headed to about 40,000 per month of this wonderful motorcycle.
Now, considering that the numbers are encouraging and you are receiving strong response to the Freedom 125 CNG motorcycle, could we expect you to launch more CNG models in the near future, maybe prepone the launch plans?
Well, yes and no. Yes, because we do have another CNG motorcycle due shortly. I can say within this financial year, sometime in the second half of this financial year. But at the same time, I would hasten to add, Parikshit, if you look at the stellar successes of brands in the last 30 years, the brands that really stand out are those like Hero Splendor, Honda's Activa and Shine, our own Pulsar and our three-wheeler, Royal Enfield's Classic. So you would see that, they really demonstrate the wisdom of less being more. So it's not about really spraying and praying after putting a lot of SKUs out there. It is about choosing your battles very carefully, being very focused in your understanding of what the customer wants, which the competition cannot easily provide at the moment, and then making that introduction as effectively as possible. So while we will have another bike coming in shortly, but I think the Freedom 125 that is currently in the marketplace, from all that I've heard in the last 6 weeks since launch, that really has the legs to go all the way to 40,000 a month, if not beyond.
You had also hinted to us earlier that CNG is not the only portfolio that you're working on. There is an ethanol or a flex fuel motorcycle, a hydrogen motorcycle that you're also working on for future. Any timeline that you could give us as to what we can expect next, considering that clean energy is a focus area for Bajaj Auto?
Well, clearly between the two, ethanol will come first. We have always been very encouraged by Mr. Gadkari's emphasis on this fuel. And next month, along with other players from the industry, we will be showcasing our ethanol motorcycle and three-wheeler in Delhi. And I think within this financial year, we will be ready to launch these products. Hydrogen is obviously, as you can imagine, still in the works as far as R&D is concerned. So Joe's working on that, but one day soon, why not?
Now, as the space is growing fast and this is the festive season, how soon can we expect more electric scooter launches, either in the affordable or in the premium segment from Bajaj Auto?
We will have launches at both ends of the market that you mentioned, because there are consumers at both ends of the market. And at the same time, we also, we need to keep the higher end going from a brand point of view. But also for the scale, we need the products at the more competitive price point also. So having just launched a third product, there are more due later this year, within this financial year. We talked about it the last time we met a couple of months back. And I think post the festive season and before March, certainly there will be more Chetaks in the marketplace. And I could reiterate what I shared with you the last time, that not only will there be more Chetaks in the market off the current platform, hopefully very sharply positioned, but there will also be a new Chetak platform that I had mentioned to you when we met the last time, and that should be out early in the next financial year.
Now, speaking about electric motorcycles, Royal Enfield has already declared, it's in public domain, that they will be launching an electric motorcycle, Ultraviolet Revolt. have electric motorcycles in the market. Ola plans to launch them as well. Now, considering that the market is going to come up with these electric motorcycles, what is your thought on bringing one to market?
Well, I'm going to take two steps back and tell you the big picture as we see it, Parikshit. 30 years ago, 70% of the Indian two-wheeler market was scooters. And that is when this company started to place its bets on motorcycles. It was a very counterintuitive choice. A lot of people scoffed at it. A lot of people laughed it off. A lot of people were critical of it and are still critical of it. But it has stood us well. It has paid off. And what is it that moved the needle from the market being 70% scooters to becoming 65% motorcycles? One simple metric, which was that the 100cc motorcycle was 50% more fuel efficient than the 100cc scooter on account of its transmission. Which is much more efficient than that of the automatic transmission of the scooter. But now when you come to the EV world, and if you have the same drivetrain, which means primarily the same battery and the same motor, in a scooter form factor and a motorcycle form factor, you will actually get the same performance. You will get the same speed, you will get the same range, you will have the same charging time requirement, etc. So that very big advantage that the motorcycle had over the scooter in an ICE format is now gone. And the other strengths of the scooter, in terms of all the comfort and convenience that it offers as a form factor over the motorcycle, will come to the fore. So, if I sit here and tell you today that I am imagining that India will go back to becoming a 70% scooter market, you would be inclined to laugh me off, as perhaps your predecessor did 30 years ago. And hopefully, I would be right a second time around. So the short story is that as a company, we strongly believe that, while scooters and motorcycles will both be popular, scooters in the electric format hold far greater potential than do motorcycles. That's why, there's nothing ultra about the sale of ultraviolet. It's 5 or 10 motorcycles a month, I believe. And there is no revolution that revolt has caused. As for Ola, as always, we will see what happens when they are in the marketplace. So we are staying very focused on EV scooters now. That's the short answer.
Now, when do you expect to become profitable with your electric vehicle segment, Mr. Bajaj? Because you're one of those who have been very candid at EVs losing money. So when it comes to the path for profitability, how far are you?
Not only is our revenue growing to a very significant level, but if I take our, not just our clean energy portfolio, which includes both CNG and electric, that's of course very profitable, as you can imagine. But if I were to take only our electric portfolio, and in that I include the little vehicles we make for Yulu, our associate company out of Bangalore, the leader in micro mobility in this country. I include all the Chetaks that we make and the electric three-wheeler that I mentioned. I was actually surprised to understand from our CFO Dinesh last month that portfolio is already profitable. Of course, with help from EMPS and FAME and PLI and whatever. I'm not even sure we have PLI factored in as yet, because we just received certification last week for all of our applications. But that portfolio is already positive. Now, obviously, every SKU there is not positive, but that's okay. That happens in an ICE portfolio also. We have SKUs out there in the domestic market, in some of our African markets, which are still not profitable. So that's fine. But as a total portfolio, not just our clean energy portfolio, but our EV portfolio is already positive.